2. Self-analysis and guilt. Freud's theories began in self-analysis, were developed in self-analysis, and were confirmed to his satisfaction in the psychoanalysis of others. In himself he found the dreams and desires for incest, parricide, and every other facet of his theory, confirmed in his unconscious feelings with respect to his father and mother, as well as his daughters. This self-analysis continued so that in 1910 he could write to Ferenczi, quote, "A part of homosexual cathexis has been withdrawn and made use of to enlarge my own ego. I have succeeded where the paranoiac fails," end quote. Why should a man accuse himself, and all men, of these things? And why should Freud, a proud and reserved man, already smarting under the opprobrium imputed to him as a Jew, draw more fire by publishing theories seemingly calculated to offend men and to promote further hostility to the Jew? Freud hungered for appreciation and respect, and yet his every publication seemed determined to deny it to himself. What premises led Freud to a conclusion so alien to his quiet ways and dreams of a pure, non-controversial life of achievement in science? It was not the, quote, unconscious, end quote, for the doctrine of the unconscious was an old one when Freud was born, and while an important aspect of his theory is not the key to it, neither was it sex, for in Freud's day many scholars dealt with sex, such as Sir Richard Francis Burton, 1821 to 1890, Henry Havelock Ellis, 1859 to 1939, Lewis Henry Morgan, 1818 to 1881, Paolo Mantegazza, 1831 to 1910, and others, without exerting a fraction of the influence Freud has had. Sex was important in Freud's theory, but to make it central is to ensure misunderstanding and to be unable to cope with it. What then was Freud's central concern and the key to his theory? It was his concern with the feeling of guilt. Jones saw, quite rightly, that the central thesis of Freud's study, civilization and its discontents, was, in Freud's words, his, quote, intention to represent the sense of guilt as the most important problem in the evolution of culture, and to convey that the price of progress in civilization is paid by forfeiting happiness through the heightening of the sense of guilt, end quote. Alfred Adler and Carl Jung could be seen by some religious thinkers as more ready allies to their cause because they lacked Freud's hostility to religions. But Freud has had the greater impact on religious thought because, despite his militant scientism and materialism, his thinking was basically religious in its subject matter. Freud's concern reveals both his apparent nearness to Christian theology and his radical difference from it, because Freud disassociated guilt and sin, and this association is absolutely necessary for Christian theology. Guilt, Freud rightly recognized, is man's basic problem, and no matter what marvels scientific technology and socialism may bring forth, and he expected much of both, a guilty man is wretched amid riches. As a result, before anything else can be done for man, the fact of guilt must be reckoned with. This was an unheard-of starting point for a man of science, and Freud, however, faithfully a strict materialist, immediately disqualified himself with most strict materialists, such as Marxists, for including a religious premise into a godless world. In other quarters, it was seen as the rebirth of the soul in Western culture. Freud, however, was facing up to the basic religious issue as a scientist, and accordingly, instead of dealing with guilt in terms of God, creation and man's fall, he went to anthropology,